personally, it was a gratifying year within the terms of my contract because of what we did academically and basketball-wise. You know, I received a year's extension in my contract, so that's always a good thing if you're coaching, and you know, I appreciate that. This year's team is an interesting group because we have 4 players who return with quite a bit of experience. Quite a few of those games are as starting players for us. And then we have a good group of new players. Our 2 guys from Baltimore, Braxton Dupree from Calvert Hall, Dino Gregory from Mount St. Joe, come having been coached very well. I feel fortunate to get 2 guys from those schools that have the fundamentals in the game that they do have, you know, at an early point in their college career. They both have a chance to be outstanding players here at the university. Cliff Tucker is a 6'6" player from El Paso, Texas, who is very versatile, sees the floor very well, could probably play 3 different positions for us if he had to, the 1, 2, and the 3. And the other 2 guys, Adrian Bowie is a very quick, left-handed penetrating type guard from Montrose Christian, and Shane Walker is a 6'10" power forward that is also from Montrose Christian, who really can run the court and do some great things defensively. Over the summer, Landon Milbourne went on a tour where he got to play 11, 12 games in Holland and Belgium, and I think that was very important to him because he did not play a significant number of minutes, but Landon's going to be a very important player for us this year. Our 2 returning seniors, James has had the opportunity to make the Pan Am team. They invited 30 players to Philadelphia. He had to make it down to the top 12, and James did that, and had some great experience playing internationally. Gravis Vasquez got the opportunity to play for the Venezuelan national team. They went to Australia and China, and then played the United States in the first round of the Americas tournament, which was the qualifier for the Olympics next year. And Gravis acquitted himself very well. Got a chance to play a little bit against Kobe Bryant, which was pretty interesting. Kobe spoke to him in Spanish, which Rivas wouldn't tell me all the words that Kobe said, but it was interesting to see that. And you know, the one thing that afterwards that Gravis did tell me about was Kobe came up to him and he said, you know, that he had a chance. You know, Gravis has to continue to work very hard, but you know, he does have a chance, you know, to play at the next level. So I'm sure that was a great motivator for Gravis to hear that in that situation. So we returned along with those 3, Bombali Osby, who was very instrumental in the Illinois win at Illinois when Kevin Beckway was hurt that night. And he played great, quite a few games down the stretch for us. Very significant player in our NCAA win against Davidson. So I think with Bombali's experience, being a first-year, you know, player at the Division I level, I think this year he's a lot more comfortable and relaxed with what we try to do. In other words, it's if we win, and I say that very carefully, if we win our first 2, we will play UCLA probably in Kansas City, and then the winner or loser of Michigan State and Missouri. That would give us those 2. About a week later, we play Virginia Commonwealth, the team that beat Duke in the first round of the NCAA last year. Returns most of their players. I thought their coach might be going to Florida, but when Donovan stayed, you know, Grant stayed at Virginia Commonwealth. So they're a very veteran team with a veteran coach now. And we play Boston College here early in the ACC season. So it's a good early season look, and we have some other games, you know, notably playing UNC Charlotte at Charlotte right before we start the ACC season. And, you know, a team like Holy Cross, which has kind of dominated their league the last couple of years, a very good team that has had, you know, some good looks in the NCAA tournament. So I look forward to it. You know, we always try to play a good schedule. We're proud, you know, of what we do here in Maryland, both on and off the court, and hopefully we can continue to be successful. And it takes a lot of work. It's never, you never look at a year and say, well, we're really going to be good this year. We have these teams that I know we can beat, because when you move into the ACC, and you know, the best example of the ACC is how Wake Forest 3 years ago wins the league regular season and then finishes last year and was a pretty good basketball team. And was a pretty good basketball team. But if you look at the league this year, I think most people will pick North Carolina #1. But after that, you know, you see teams like Clemson, Virginia, certainly Duke, you know, NC State. You go right down the line. You can't, you know, find a game on that schedule where as a coach you look at that and you say we're definitely going to win that game.
Are some of the younger players who have the most likely?
Well, it's, you know, if you look at it by position, I don't know if that mic was loud enough or not, but the question was, you know, you look at the 4 players I mentioned, and then who's the 5th guy? Well, that's going to be one of the things that, you know, we really have to work on. But at the same time, Landon Milburn last year was hurt early. DJ Strawberry was one of the best guards, at least in the conference last year, playing that 3 spot, and so Landon didn't get a lot of playing opportunity. But the thing where I gained new respect for Landon was last spring, where he didn't hang his head at all. You know, some guys, first thing they do when they don't play a lot as a freshman, they come in and they say they're thinking about transferring. Well, when Landon came in, you know, you go, well, here it comes. But in Landon's case, he comes in and he says, Coach, what can I do? You know, what can I do? I want to play next year, so what can I do? And that's all he ever wanted. You know, he wants the opportunity. He wants to be given the opportunity to play, and he's certainly going to get that. And you know, I'm looking forward to tomorrow and after that getting out there with him to just see how he fits with the other guys.
Have to do some things, and how much you guys are going to be relying on him this year.
Well, we relied on him last year. He didn't know it when he came out of here, but he was very important to us last year. And what Graves has that it's hard to put into players is this innate ability to want to compete. In other words, you don't. If I gave a pep talk before a game, which I don't do all the time, do it once in a while, I could put Graves in another room and wouldn't have to talk to him. He'd get himself ready to play. And I think that's one of the things I like about him the most, that it's like that for games, but if you come to practice Saturday, it's like that for Saturday's practice too. You know, he just gets excited. He's excited to have the opportunity to play basketball. It's a dream of his to play in the ACC, and he hasn't forgotten it. Some guys forget that. He hasn't forgotten that. So I think what he's going to give us is more scoring this year, more ways to score. In other words, he played a lot of the point for us last year, but he can play the 2, he can play the 3, and I think we can have a little more freedom offensively this year with the experience that both Eric Hayes and Graves Vasquez got from last year.
How much do you think he picked up from all that international experience?
I think he picked up quite a bit. Like, he came back here really wanting to work, and you know, some guys come back and say, look, I need a couple weeks off, I just played all summer, you know, that type of thing. But not him. He came back ready to play, and I think the thing he saw was how strong older players are. I think that's what you can't get through to college players sometimes about the NBA or about playing in Europe, just how strong those people are, you know, because they're 4, 5, 10 years older sometimes, and they're just more mature. And I think Graves found that out, especially going against, you know, the guys he did when they finally got to Vegas. So that's probably the best thing for Graves, because, you know, a lot of guys can handle, a lot of guys can shoot the ball, but then the strength thing comes into play too. So I think he realizes how important that is.
Pan Am Games experience.
Well, I think in James's case, to make that team, the Pan Am team, he saw how hard he had to work to make that team. And the one thing James brings now is the ability to be more of a flexible player. When he came here, he had basically just played with his back to the basket. Now he can step out, he makes jump shots. He is a shot blocker, you know, for a guy 6'8" or so. But he can really run the court. We want him more involved in our transition. I think he can be a better pressing player this year because he knows that now. He played significant minutes last year, so he knows what we try to do with our pressure part of our defense. So I think there's a lot of ways he's going to contribute. And you know, you look at our situation. He's, you know, one of our 2 really veteran players in the inside situation. And another guy I failed to mention was Dave Neal. Dave Neal quietly last year played in key situations for us. It's not always a great deal of minutes, but if you need a big guy to bring the ball in bounds, to be able to throw over somebody or whatever, Dave is a very good free throw shooter, so a lot of times when teams are pressing you at the end of the game, you might be up 4 or 5 points, you pass the ball in bounds, the guy that's open is the inbounder as he steps in bounds.